to our Zoom, and those of you that are joining on YouTube, welcome to our DCSD Community Town Hall for January 20th, 2021. I want to thank you guys for choosing to spend your time with us. We know you had your choice of town hall tonight, and you stuck with us, and we appreciate it. So we'll get started here in about 2 minutes. All right, so once again, thank you to everyone that has decided to join us this evening from our DCSD community. My name is Nate Jones, and I'm the Communications Manager for the Douglas County School District. I'll be serving as moderator for today's discussion. Today's town hall is scheduled for 1 hour. We've received a lot of questions from our DCSD community, so we're going to try and answer as many common questions as possible. If you do not hear an answer to a question that you asked, please stay tuned. We will be sending out a frequently asked questions document. We received a lot, and so we're going to answer all of them. It may just not be during this 1 hour block. Joining me for today's town hall is, of course, our interim superintendent, Corey Wise. Corey, thank you for being with us. We've also got several members of Corey's superintendent's cabinet with us as well, available to hop in and help answer some questions if we need some of their expertise tonight. So thank you to the superintendent's cabinet for being with us as well. I'd also like to acknowledge our DCSD Board of Education. That would be Directors David Ray, Krista Holtzman, Kevin Lung, Anthony Graziano, Christina Chancho-Shore, Elizabeth Hansen, and Susan Meek. Thank you for your continued support, directors. We're going to go ahead and get it started right now with some opening remarks from Interim Superintendent Corey Wise.
Nate, thank you. First off, to everybody who is out there tonight, appreciate you taking the time to be involved. Appreciate all of you that sent in questions. And as Nate said, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into this, to set this up, to put it on, to follow up the FAQs. We want to get all of your questions answered. But I want to thank Chris, Nate, and everyone behind the scenes, Stacy, who helped to organize this, put this together. So, you know, to take this time, I want to start with acknowledging, while we're in challenging times, and I get each of our decisions might not be the decision you want to have. And when we think about decision-making process, we try to take in a lot of input. We listen. I listen. In that process of taking it in, there's lots of viewpoints. Oftentimes we think that my viewpoint is what everyone else feels. And really it's taking the opportunity to listen to others, to understand that how I feel, somebody might feel the complete opposite or just a little bit different from me. But the one thing I am noticing is the amount of different viewpoints and perceptions, and it's needed. But at the same time, how we put that together to create a plan and move it forward, even at times where a decision isn't where we were going with it. That's part of this process, and how we work together to make those decisions great ones and better ones and learn and grow is going to be important. So moving out of last night, we are staying with remotes. to move forward with how we move with hybrid in the near future. Part of our work that we're doing and we've started and continue to finalize is think about how can we do hybrid better, but also thinking about ideas that maybe expand beyond just hybrid. You know, part of the process in looking at hybrid, we did a lot of great work in the fall. The hybrid piece and starting that up, I know there are challenges. It was tough on teachers, it was tough on students, and it was tough on families. Those asynchronous days, the amount of work, trying to get in, the glitches with technology. We acknowledge that that hybrid was very tough. But a lot of good did happen. A lot of hard work of everyone, and we learned different things about our process. In remote, that stability side, we have the remote where we were from Thanksgiving to winter break and where we are now, it looks different. We've learned and we've grown. The active engagement 5 days a week with teachers as much as possible. It doesn't look the same in every class. It might not look the same in each school, but there's enough similarity and more active engagement that there is consistency. So even in a recommendation where we see a little bit of difference, that's how we navigate this. There's a lot of factoring in and how we work together to take where we are with the challenge and move it forward to find that positive is what I have to internalize and do. We have to internalize and do. And I ask all of you to think about that same perspective. You know, there's going to be a lot of different questions tonight, some challenging questions, some emotion involved, or anything else. I get it. I'm going to work hard to give you direct answers and give you the why and also explanation of some of the detail. And in that, I acknowledge that you won't like all of the answers or explanation, but I also want us to really work on that side of empathy. You know, understanding what people are doing and thinking and understanding different perspectives oftentimes creates a solution that we never would have thought of on our own. So I think that's a piece that I want us to always remind. On the hybrid side, we want to improve those asynchronous days. We want to have more active engagement. We want to actually think about how can we evolve to where any person in any seat can receive the same learning. And that actually evolves hybrid into more of just that full in-person type of idea that whether I'm at home or at the school, no matter what the circumstance, that we all have that access and that learning. And we're working towards that. But I also want you to know, as much as we think that's an easy answer, should just already happen, why aren't we there? We're a big organization. A high school itself is over 2,000 students on average. We have over 120 staff, sometimes up to 150. We have different subjects. It will look different in math than it could in English. To then think about band or PE or art. To think that one size fits all, that's not the case. And that's just within one school, let alone over 9 high schools and also 9 middle schools. So the answers, while they might seem simple and just common sense, or why not, they're actually very complicated. And when we work with so many people, the needs of each person, students and families, that adds another layer that we all have to address. And no matter what we decide, there's going to be bumps in the road. As we look at that hybrid model, we try to give access to everyone in each day, or even remote, or full in person. There's pros and cons with each one. So I want you to know we're working to not only always find answers, but make those answers better and grow and learn from what we've done. You know, with the hybrid piece of coming back, we want to improve how students have access to their teachers to ask questions, to get questions answered, to get help, access to other students, access to mental health or counselors or resources at school. And in some cases, we're also looking at access to meals. So on those ends of where are we and why, there truly are benefits or pros and cons or deltas on each model. And as we go through that, I just want to go through that stance that in all of this, there are many different biases and perceptions, mine included, but we're going to work together to move this forward. I think we might have a unmute just in case. You know, the last thing I'd like to is we want to really also look at how we do this better and sustain. So as we get going forward, moving with both the remote and hybrid, how we can take some of that increased work that did happen during the hybrid and decrease that to be better is always a goal. Because we do know, you know, the fall was challenging, and this spring is also going to be challenging. Some of the same ones that we've already faced, and that we just continue to have, and also new ones that we weren't sure of with the new strains or whatever we might have. So it's it's a continuation. And I just ask you to think about those things as we get started. I look forward to the questions and trying to give answers. And again, we're going to do our best, if your question wasn't part of this, to get out an FAQ so all the questions are answered. So Nate, I'm going to be quiet. Again, thank you everybody for being a part of this, and let's get her going.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. And as Corey did say, we will have an FAQ document going out in case your question is not answered tonight. We are going to comb through and still try and get to as many of them as we can. And also, one minor housekeeping note: if you know somebody that requires closed captioning assistance, please take a look at the link that is in our chat box. That is to our YouTube page. There is live captioning available there should you need that. So that's over there for you if you need it. We're going to go straight to the phones for our first question. We're going to open up on COVID-19 health and safety protocols. For this first question, we've got Darian Wilson with us. Darian, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Hi, Darian. I can. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Okay, great. So my question was, what options will be offered for students who are unable to attend full-time in-person school due to health risks, either with the student or people in their home? And second question is, why is the district considering going against the CDC recommendations to stay 6 feet apart and avoid crowds? So this question was before last night and this morning's email from the superintendent, but that was based on an email from Superintendent Wise saying that they were trying to get back to full-time high school in person as well as elementary school. So thank you.
Absolutely, Darian. I appreciate the question. First off, as we look at three different possibilities: remote, in-person hybrid, and in-person full, we need to explore and dive into each of those. What we have a lot of wants, and when we see that, those wants are from a number of stakeholders, from parents, from teachers, and there's differences in opinion of those. Really taking the opportunity to explore what can be done in each of those and being realistic with what are the pros and cons is important to do. As we get going forward, we will be faced with the possibility of being back full in person. Now, hopefully the vaccines play a whole part of that and allow us to do that much differently and better, but we also want to explore that with Tri-County to say, where are we with that? The 6 feet distance, as we see with our elementary schools, while that's a recommendation and a great mitigation standard, if we were to be back full in person, which is wanted by many, and there's some positive with being back full in person, we would not have that ability to be 6 feet or even 3 feet in distance from each other. So we want that normalcy, but there's also comes an impact with that. So Tri-County giving recommendations, but also saying we would expect those quarantines to go up. You could have increase in positivity rates, that there's pros within that and there are cons within that. But investigating and looking at all those options, say, where are we? When and could we be ready for this? And what's the right timing of that is important to dive into each of those options. If we don't dive into it and really explore it, we really won't know what we're facing. And I also think it's important that we help others understand what it really means. As I said, there's not one perfect example. And in our minds, we have an image of what it would be like. But we also need to be clear with those other things that impact us with our Tri-County work of quarantines, with those positivity rates are going up and how that would work. There's going to be impacts that sometimes we don't always think about. So I think as we explore those, we want to dive in deeper and be able to explain that out and also see where are we with our readiness and what could be the right timing and what will we need if and when this comes into play. Now, reality, we are staying in remote. We're moving forward to how can we move towards hybrid and try to increase some specific things within hybrid that I talked about to be probably an expanded version. I don't even know that the hybrid necessarily counts, but our keeps our classes is smaller. And we're pausing a little bit of that full in person a little bit longer to continue to evaluate and see what we can come up with. And the option of really working on more synchronous and active engagement, what we can possibly build with that in that could be a even better win-win possibility.
Great. Thank you again for the question, Darian. We appreciate you joining us tonight. Next question comes to us from Katie. She asks, why can't the students take off their masks at their desks when they are with the same group of students they eat lunch with and play with at recess without a mask? This is being done in other schools, both here in our district, charter schools, and in other states.
Yeah. I think as we talk about how can we keep ourselves, one of the things that's important is trying to find some consistency, trying to find some predictability in that. So our goal is what mitigation factors are going to have the biggest bang for their buck. And masks are something that we can control, that we can use. We have a number of opportunities to build breaks, to do that in a situation that isn't around other people, that we can go outside, we can ask for a break. So we've built in strategies at each of our schools and each level to find the appropriate places. But at the same time, in a classroom and around that, with the number of kids that we have and the variables that impact us with quarantining, with positivity rates, we want to practice those good habits. Our kids have done an outstanding job. Our schools are doing a fantastic job of not only wearing masks, but reminding, finding good practices, trying to find those breaks, and it's helped us. I know not everything is liked. I know wearing a mask is difficult and hard, but the good and the bad of this is we're coming close to a full year of this experience. And our students and our schools have responded. It's not ideal, but this is something that is making a big positive impact for us that we want to still maintain. And that's why we are doing it the way we are. There are different schools that might have that, and they put in a variance. Whether that variance has a positive or negative impact is a difference to that variance with Tri-County and CDPHE. But again, as far as Douglas County schools, the mitigation factor of the masks, trying to find distance when appropriate, trying to use hand sanitizer and washing hand and those good habits, something that we value, and we see that positive difference.
Great. Thank you again for the question there, Katie. We're going to pivot now on to questions regarding vaccinations and testing in DCSD. This one comes to us from Sonia. She'd like to know, are teachers being vaccinated? And if not, when will they be?
Yeah, so, as we started off really over winter break and the first of the year with the opportunity to start getting teachers vaccinated, being in that 1A and 1B as a full piece, we started to get our teachers vaccinated, and some have. What shifted was as the governor put in place that dotted line and a 1B with that dotted line, he asked us to reprioritize, to work first on, as a state, those who are 70 or older, it's now 65 and older, and start to put in prioritization of different employee groups. So we have our nurses, health assistants, teachers that work with severe needs students and those that might have more of that medical aspect within our schools, and our staff that are student facing, still in that higher prioritized. So I'd be in that 1A. So we have people that have that received their first vaccinations and are still getting those within that 1A. Early on in January, we were as an area and a state, CDPHE was filtering out to the different areas. And Centura said we were getting up to 4,000, close to 5,000 vaccinations a week. That allowed more people to get in. The past couple of weeks, it's been drastically reduced. 2 weeks ago, it was like at 987, so just under 1,000. So that availability to get more people in paused a little bit or slowed down. We're hearing and seeing that we expect that to go up, and we still are hoping and planning for all teachers and staff that work with students to be able to start getting those vaccinations again right around March 1st. That's a guidance given to us. We're going to always advocate to get the staff and teachers vaccinated as quickly as possible. So if we can get all those others vaccinated and move us up, boy, are we going to work to do that. We have prioritized our employee groups with student facing. So that's including bus drivers, EAs, staff within that, and then start to work with the other employee groups. But, it's important to be able to have those vaccinations, and it helps with quarantine, it helps with safety, and it helps with working to get kids back into school and people back into school full time. So that's probably a longer answer than you want to have, but hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. This next question comes to us from Valerie, and she's got a question regarding vaccine. She says her daughter has received the COVID-19 vaccine, and she wants to know if DCSD will implement a policy that allows her and other students and staff to remain in class in person due to that vaccination status?
Valerie, that's a great question. So a couple things in the quarantine process. If anybody has been positive for having COVID and you have the results saying that you're positive, we have that date, for 90 days, you actually do not have to be quarantined. Okay, so if you're positive, you come back into school and you're exposed, you have 90 days in which you're exempt or don't have to be quarantined. Because vaccinations are so new and we're still working on getting both doses, remember it's 2 doses and roughly that 28-day incubation period. Each of them might be a little bit different, but we're working with Tri-County and CDPHE to determine that same exemption from the quarantine piece. We're working with the idea with Tri-County that it's probably going to be similar to that 90 days. We're working with that general idea, but they're going to give us a feedback of for how long they might not have to be quarantined. They're still working on that detail, but yes, we're planning to do that for both if you've been positive, we can show that side, and also with the vaccination piece, and that's going to continue to be defined more for us, but with us.
Great. Thank you again for that question. Our last inquiry on the vaccinations and testings category comes to us from Troy, and he wants to know, what do you see being DCSD's COVID testing and vaccination protocols for students to return to full in-person learning? For example, do you see it being mandatory for either or both in order for a student to return? And what, if any, exemptions do you foresee?
Yeah, so, when we say full in person, I'm going to go with that means 100% everyone. There's not a school district in the Front Range that is of our size that has really been working to be full in person. We are diving into that to look at what can we do and what will help us to put that in place. When you look at our comfort level and availability, the vaccinations play a huge part. If we can get our front student facing, so teachers and staff, bus drivers, nutrition services vaccinated, that really opens the door to be full in person. As we start talking about hybrid, neighboring school districts, Cherry Creek, Littleton, Jeffco, Denver, when they say in person, they are meaning hybrid. Not everybody uses the hybrid term all the time. And so we see a piece of it's in person, it's in person, it's in person. But within the larger school districts, it's that hybrid model very similar to ours. Even then, we have to take a look at vaccinations will play a huge role. We have Colorado COVID Check or COVID Check Colorado able to give testing for staff and students. And that's expanded to a saliva test. So if you sign up and you go and you get a test and it's a saliva test, some of those things is you shouldn't eat 30 minutes before going to get a test. You do the saliva test. We've seen results come back that same day when you get it early in the morning or the next day. So the idea that we can use those tests to help, one, decrease quarantine days. The other piece of the quarantine, as you may know, it started at 14 days. We are now at 10 days. And for life quarantine, because when you're quarantined, you aren't able to participate in all the other things going on in life, going to the grocery store, possibly practices or activities. You can get out of that quarantine after day 7, so it'd be day 8. Now we have to work on, if teachers or in a school level that we have everybody going, that 10-day is really that consistency piece. And then the variables in each school with the teacher and how we bring back in does get a little complicated, but even getting that earlier release out of total quarantine is going to be important. So that testing mitigation factor is a part of what we're already doing. Sometimes we don't know what we have available, but not only have that, we have Mako. We're going to be getting another one here in Douglas County that we want to expand the opportunity for all of our students and also teachers and staff to have the testing. You also can go through your primary care physicians and health network if that's better for you.
Awesome. Thank you for that question, Troy. We're going to go ahead and pivot now into quarantine protocols. So this is the guidance that we've created that helps determine how long folks are in quarantine for after a case or an incident. We've worked with our health partners to develop this for DCSD. Our first question comes to us from Adam, who actually is a teacher for DCSD and had a question for us in our staff town hall. He asks a question. He's concerned about the back and forth, or as he calls it, the yo-yo effect that we experienced in the fall. This, of course, happens when a student body goes into quarantine for a period, comes back, and then may have to quarantine again because of an additional case. With COVID numbers still high and staff not being vaccinated, how are you planning to prevent this from occurring again here in the spring term?
Yeah, so, it's a great question we all have. In all honesty, I'm going to give a pretty direct answer. You can't really prevent it. We want to minimize it. We want to decrease the impact of quarantining. When we look at the middle school, high school level being remote, there are some positives within that. And whether you agree or disagree, it does provide a level of consistency. It's been increased to where our kids have more access to each other and their teachers every day. That provides that consistency, and you don't have the quarantine and positivity impact. Now, at the hybrid level, you do still have smaller classes. So the safety mitigation factors and the ability to have smaller classes and still function, but still be in person, is what also allows you to hopefully have less quarantining, because you have fewer students, you have less people around you, that spread. Majority of our cases of positive COVID cases have typically happened on the outside and been brought into our school. Now, we do see some possibilities of transmission. That's where the contact tracing comes in. And that's hard even for Tri-County to say where was it contracted, but that piece of how do we monitor? Where our numbers are and how we manage this spring, we're going to have to continue to evaluate. We're in a new time frame. Our numbers are roughly, if you watched the board meeting last night, are roughly at that 460, and that's that incident rate per 100,000 within that. So when you look at those things that happen, we're going to have to assess this. But to prevent, I would probably use different language. Say we want to minimize, we want to do more prevention factors, but it's going to happen. When we have people in person, we will have quarantines. Hopefully we don't have as many if we practice as well. We have PPE, so KN95 masks, surgical masks, and shields for teachers. The more that we can use masks well, so going back to the earlier question, have these factors. If you're feeling any symptoms, or you're sick or not feeling good, please don't come to school. Take the time to stay away. That way you all, and we all can be in person as much as possible. So I think all those things factor in. But that yo-yo effect, the reality, we will have quarantines. We will have some transitioning out. We could have classes, we could have grade levels, we could have schools. That's still reality for this spring with COVID. But we do want to decrease that because we know that's tough. It interferes, it disrupts and interrupts. So we do want to try to do our best with those factors and help on that side.
Great. Thank you for the question there, Adam. And again, thank you for being an educator in Douglas County Schools. We definitely appreciate you being a part of the team. Next question we have as pertaining to quarantine protocols. This one comes to us from Matt. And Matt would like to know, what is the basis for siblings of a student that has COVID to still come to school? It seems that all siblings, assuming they live in the same household, will have close contact and require a quarantine.
Yeah, so I'm gonna actually have Nancy Ingalls jump in and answer that a little bit, and then I might give a little bit of a recap on that. But it's really going to that exposure rate. When you think about even in your own household, it's like throwing a rock into a pond, and that ripple effect of that ring of proximity. So Nancy, if you don't mind, I think you can explain the detail a little bit better than I can.
I sure can. Thank you, Matt. You are correct. If somebody is positive with COVID, the people in their household that live with them, including their siblings, would need to quarantine. Now, sometimes in schools, in a community, there could be some confusion about who is and who isn't positive with COVID, and our schools are not able to disclose that information specifically. But please rest assured that when we do know of a person who has been positive, we do go through the contact tracing process, and people who live in their household are asked to quarantine.
Great. Thank you, Nancy. I think I credited you for an assist earlier. I'll give you the shot on goal for that one. We do want to remind folks that any changes that do happen to our guidance and our policies, We do update our information on our Road to Return page on the Douglas County School District website. So if you're ever curious about what we're currently doing to help sort of stem the tide of COVID and keep our kids safe, please do check that out. Go to dcsdk12.org. And then at the very top there's a tab for Road to Return. That's where you can find our latest information per policy guidelines, stories that we've done regarding COVID, things like that. So please do check out that page as well. Next, we are going to pivot to questions regarding mental health and wellness for our students. And for this question, we have brought on a live caller. Karen, are you with us on the line here?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thanks for joining us.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and ask my question. I'd like to know, Superintendent, why our teenagers, our poor teens, are being kept from the crucial need to be in school full time when thousands of other middle school and high school students in other states have been attending school in person full time since even last September in schools that are just as large as our Douglas County schools. And they are fine safety-wise with COVID outbreaks and cases and have been able to manage that. So my question is just, at what point is the mental wellness and stability of our poor youth and teenagers specifically who've not been able to be in school for almost an entire calendar year, when does that not become far more crucial than the physical concerns of the virus and the COVID virus itself?
Yeah. So Karen, that's a question that's posed by many out there. A few points I want to hit on. When you say out of state, each state has different variables and different guidance and requirements that they have to face. So working within Colorado and CDPHE as that guiding factor, we are different than other states. There are some things that work well within each state that are a little bit different. Now, as you start to say it works fine, even in those states that have full in person, there's pros and cons. There's quarantines, people are being impacted, people are struggling. That's even full in person is not normal. So as we even investigate and take a look at what if we came back full in person, I want us all to realize that there still be quarantines, that every state, let alone every district, has to work within those tri-county guidelines. There are different times where as a smaller school or variances in that smaller school or age could have a little bit difference in detail. We're all very similar. And we're also seeing similar positives and similar negatives. But in all reality, full in person does have some advantage. We know we want people in person. We want the normalcy. But just like coming back in a hybrid model or an elementary and referral in person, we had quarantines that very first day. We had positive cases that very first day back here in January, that it's not normal. And so, there's a balancing act. And in all this, I respect what you're saying. We all have viewpoints and we all have wants, but it's not a perfect scenario, and we are in different circumstance. And when we take a look at Douglas County schools, and I kind of shared this a little bit earlier, in the metro area and districts that are large like this, and we are very, very large, we're the third largest school district in Colorado. The number of students we have, and when you look at the middle school, high school level, and that full in person, there's not other districts that are looking at that. We're one of the few that are even diving into what can we do? What are the variables? What are the pros and cons? If and when could this happen? So I just want you to know that as you look around on the consistency side, Colorado is different. As we work through, you would see more doing it if it was that easy. And I get that we want that. We want to build for that, but nothing is simple and easy. It's a complex answer. And I just want to be real with you that as we go through the quarantine, the spread of virus and impact, it could look different from one week to another, one school to another. And in that we can't always say what is fine and define that, but I understand what you're saying. I think we all know that and feel that. We're working hard to be back in person, and we're also looking at that full in person and trying to say, if and when can we do this? We understand we want the normalcy. We're vaccines, we're hoping, and we have a plan for that, but there's a lot of things in place that we're working through. So I hope that gives you a little bit of feedback and answer, but in all reality, we are faced with different obstacles and different possibilities in Colorado than other states at times.
Well, Karen, thank you again for spending your time with us this evening. We know it's not easy for families to give up time and to gather information, especially so close to dinner. But thank you for being with us and asking your question. We're going to pivot now to another caller. We've got Jason Mayberry on the phone, and he's got a question regarding the timing of return to in-person learning. Jason, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thanks for being with us, Jason.
Wonderful. Thank you. So thank you, Mr. Weiss. I appreciate your taking the time to do this. Assuming that you do indeed have the infrastructure to support synchronous hybrid for all teachers who want and need it, I wonder how will flexibility be built into the synchronous hybrid schedule? For instance, will students be given the choice to stay at home and learn synchronously even on their normal in-person days? Likewise, will special needs students be given the option to attend every day if needed? And will time be worked into the schedule specifically for students to get help from teachers, because none of those things were available last time?
Yeah. So, Jason, you're hitting on the head of, even when we talk about how can we make a hybrid system that is better? How can we look at creating more student active engagements or more synchronous time with teachers? It makes a lot of sense, but there's a lot of complexity to that. So let's take a high school. Within a high school, we have roughly, say, 120 staff. And if within that, all those teachers and the different subjects we have, it could look different, very different within your own school. How we teach science could look very different than English or math. Then you fall into, within the high school, what about our music classes, PE, art? Each of these variables that we want to do this, we want to build some consistencies of how could we provide the same learning from any seat, sitting in my classroom, sitting at home, and how can we provide that access and learning? Now, while that sounds perfect and good, even when we have the best well laid out plans, it's complicated. Think about technology. Even in Zoom meetings like this or Google Meets, we have times where our technology fails. We have to go back and reset our modem. We have to look at our Wi-Fi. It slows down. It glitches out. We don't have access. So even when we have well laid out plans, there's going to be variables that are out of control. We will have bumps in the road. Even when we think we have the best answer, the grass is greener on the other side. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to have to adapt. We're going to have to respond. We're going to have to be flexible. We're going to have to be understanding. But in all this, I think the one key thing is where we were with the last opportunity hybrid, regardless, will be better. With some ideas of what can we do, it's not going to be perfect, and it's going to take some time. The readiness level of an individual teacher compared to another teacher in a school building could be very different, let alone of a subject area. And we need to build some consistency and resources. But I think the first question we have to ask is, what have we already done? We have some teachers that have already tried this in the fall, that are working on it, have found what's working, and also found, but these were the challenges. We need to listen and learn and share that. Then we need to try to replicate it. And sometimes it's within our own school that we don't even realize. And other times we might have to reach out to another school to pick those ideas. Then we have to say, what tools and resources do we need? How do we help people build that capacity that not everyone is necessarily comfortable able to do that? So it's not something we just flip a switch and be ready for. We want to build readiness. We want to be more ready. We want to build the tools, but it's also going to take some time. But I also believe it's going to be a better start and will only continue to get better. And that's a key piece there's going to be bumps in the road. It's not going to be perfect. And we have to understand that. And it goes back to those ideas of assuming positive, working through challenges together. If we jump to the negative or attack, that's probably not the best way to work through the challenges that we will continue to face and some new ones that we'll face. So how we reach out and assume positive and find solutions together. You threw out a lot of great questions and challenges that I don't know that we can be exact with each situation and with yourself included. So on that side, I hope that gave you a good enough answer of the hopeful and the possibility and what we're working towards, but also the time and the effort and the different variables that will make this more complicated than what it might sound when we just think about it and we just say it. When I talk about it, it sounds perfect. But when we get through some of those things of the how and the variables with teachers, the variables with technology, the variables with internet, the variables with students and access, the variables, like you said, with the different needs of students, there's complications, and we're going to do our best, but we're going to work hard to make that, everything is better and everything as accessible as possible.
Great. Thank you. Thank you again, Jason, for joining us on the town hall tonight and asking your question. We appreciate it. We are going to move on to our next question here, which we were trying to get Holly on to ask this question, and I don't believe we were able to get the confirmation there. So Holly, I appreciate you trying to be on with us this evening. I'll go ahead and ask your question for you. What are the specific parameters we need to meet to have our older kids back in school full time? I don't feel as though this is clear to most. If other surrounding districts and other charter schools are able to do it most successfully, why can't we? And what is different about DCSD?
Well, I think when you look at the variables, so let's go to a charter school. And most of our charter schools are K-8. In essence, that's one school, but I get that it's K-8. So you can even operate it as two different schools. When you have a small setting like that, our elementaries are back. So then you're just operating, let's just talk about then that 6, 7, 8 model. So even a K-8 model that's focused on that level, because at our middle school, you're saying, how are they not back? When you have one school, and even in a largest school of say 1,000 students, you have the flexibility in which to hopefully get through. Our elementaries that I talked about, we had positive rates, we have quarantines from the get-go, but we have some elementaries that haven't faced any yet. Now, they might have a few weeks where they don't have any impacts, then all of a sudden they have a few, or they have a lot. So I think that ability to control just one setting or very few settings, that agility to be able to adjust is different than when you're a large district. When you have upwards of 40s and 9 middle schools and 9 high schools, the variables are much greater. You're larger. One high school is a large organization. Again, we're talking 150 total staff, 110 to 120 teachers. That's a large group, 2,000 students roughly in each of our schools on the average. So when you're up that large, the variables and the impacts are much greater. And so when you see that side, the amount of quarantining, the impact of quarantining, trying to maintain that and not transition, it's different. Now, I'll also say there's opportunities for some variances at times, and most of us are working very similar. And when we hear that there's not quarantines, as I even talk with principals and leaders of other different schools, both charter and private, there are quarantines, there are positives, both of the teachers and also at the students. It's not perfect, but we are a large organization, and even each of our schools, and you put them all together, the maneuverability at times and to share all those resources to disinfect everything. And you think about our schools, and we're talking about the upper level, the amount of community use of our schools and facilities outside, inside. We're disinfecting playgrounds, we're disinfecting outside equipment, we're, doors. When you have sports involved, how that happens and goes in, there's a lot of variables that to maintain that with your resources. We're not the only district. We were one of the first ones of a large district back with our elementary full in person this January. We were one of the last ones that had to push out. And I know we don't like to, we didn't want to push out at all, but we're one of the last ones to push out. So I think on that end, hopefully I give enough of the detail of why, but it's a complicated answer. And I've said that on a couple of these, but again, I want to help understanding and be, pretty real with the things that we face and the ebb and flow of it. But, we had one high school that was able to get all the way through a little bit longer than the other high schools right before spring break, but we had 8 of them that had to roll out. So even on that end, each school is impacted of how many cases and exposures are coming in with the quarantine impact, let alone positivity. So it's ever changing, sometimes daily. And even in those days where we have one quarantine, all of a sudden we have 3, 4, 5 more that we have to communicate out on within that. So it's a difficult process, but everyone is facing challenges in this. Every school, even the small ones, charter, private, different smaller districts, and all of us as larger districts too.
Well, thank you, Holly, for the question. I apologize we weren't able to connect this evening, but I did want to try and get another caller in what with the time that we have remaining. I believe we've got Corey Nelson on the phone with us now. Corey, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Corey. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Wise. Thank you for doing this. I'd just like to say hello to all my friends on the school board. Thank you for all you've been doing. It's what a difficult year you've all faced. And thank you for all the hard work you've done. I'm asking this question on behalf of my 17-year-old senior at Legend High School who's been working really hard in her AP classes and is scheduled to graduate this year, and her 87-year-old grandfather who's been self-isolating for one purpose and one purpose only, to see his only grandchild graduate this spring. So the question I have is, when will DCSD start to develop alternate plans for the 2021 graduation, depending upon the circumstances that will exist at that time, so as to maximize the possible attendance of parents and family? And will SACs and parents be involved in such planning?
Yeah, so Corey, appreciate it. First off, we did a good job last year with pulling off some fantastic graduations. So we have a model in place, and I'm going to speak to Legend specifically. Let me speak to a grander scheme of all of our high schools. We have a good model in place that got all of our 9 high schools and all alternative schools graduating in person. It looked a little bit different from how we spread out seats, but boy, the student performers, the student speakers, they did an amazing job. The ceremony, as a dad who had a daughter who graduated last year under this pandemic, under those restrictions, I can't say enough about each of the schools' graduations, and I get it. That sentimental piece was there. We did have guests. Now, guests are limited, and we're already working on this at each of our schools with Tri-County and those locations. Not every school graduates from one of our stadiums. We also use Red Rocks, and we also use the DU Ritchie Center. We're working on what do those event centers put in place and what's our ability to have similar types of arrangements. We're working on, if it's not going to work there, do we need to have that plan to still have all of them, say at Echo Park in Parker, because it has 2 sides and is one of the largest stadiums. We're looking at each school to say, if we did this, how can we create the best atmosphere for our students, then obviously for the loved one of the students. You know, when we look at variants and we look at some of the events that happen in our stadiums, we do have a number. And last year we had a number, and we still continue to have a number of people that can attend. So those are variables that we are working with Tri-County, still continue to plan out for. But I hope what you're hearing from me is we've already started that piece. We're looking at a number of options, not just one location, but what can we do in other locations? And there's going to be some times where we're going to have to figure out with those other locations of, do we feel confident that we want to keep it in those, or do we want to go back to what we did last year? We have confidence in having it one location where we can all replicate and do some of those things and provide what we can control of a quality graduation ceremony. So I'll say this as a parent of a graduate last year and I have a junior daughter. I know that's important to all the parents out there that have seniors, and to those seniors talk about, with the student town hall tomorrow. I get it. It's hard for everybody, and there's certain years that are tougher than others, but graduation is important. We're putting the work behind to try to make that happen and make it happen the best that we can. And if that changes and opens up more, whether it be with vaccines or whatever reason, then we want to expand that. But we also need to plan accordingly, and we're going to have to make decisions sometimes earlier than wait, because we're dependent on getting contracts with companies for chairs, for sound, and all that stuff. And then also, as I said, the variables of Red Rocks and working with DU and the Ritchie Center. So remember, not all of these are within Douglas County. Therefore, we have to work with other health agencies and with whether it be the school or Red Rocks on what they will allow. So, but Corey, I appreciate that. And I know you're asking a question that's in the heart and on the minds of many.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for calling in, Corey. I did drop a link to what graduations looked like last year in the chat. Not a guarantee that that's what they'll look like this year, but just some of the things that we went through to provide that platform last year for our graduates. So check that out. It's also a shameless plug because my good buddy Chris Shalene made that video and I thought it was pretty great. So that's in the chat for you. Lastly, we've got a question, Corey, that I wanted to try and get to before we wrapped up. It's a question that we've received from a lot of parents throughout this process, and it just has to do with transportation. We know we've had some difficulties with bus numbers, with the number of students that can be on a bus at a single time. So what are we doing with capacity limits as we enter this next phase? If we're going to go full in person again or hybrid, is that going to change our numbers at all on our bus loads?
Yeah. So, Rich Cosgrove, I'm going to bring him into this. And as you said, I think I'll probably deserve the assist and let him take the real answer of the question. But Rich Cosgrove and Transportation's worked hard all year to plan for how do we do this in an evolving setting. So Rich, if you don't mind, I think you'll do a much better job of the detail of that and answering this.
Thank you very much. It's an excellent question. And basically, CDPHE, Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, with their guidance in alignment with CDC's guidance, as enforced by the Tri-County Health Department, those regulations, those guidelines are for social distancing. To maximize that as possible is 1 student per seat. And that's also aligned with Colorado Department of Education. So because of that, we have limited our busing capacity basically to a third of what it was, because instead of 77 students on a bus, we can focus anywhere from 24 to 26 students, depending on the actual size of bus. However, with that said, we continue to check and ask Tri-County, can we relax this? We obviously have to and will always ensure health and safety guidelines, but we are running the routes now for full post-COVID routes, fully loaded buses to be ready as soon as those guidelines are relaxed. Obviously, we would survey our community to make sure that support is there and they understand, just like we did when we went to the COVID routes. We surveyed to see who would and who would not take busing and understand it's a significant impact on families. I'm a parent of 2 students in the district too, and we always want to transport every student that wants to get to school. However, we have to follow Tri-County's rules. So when they're relaxed, we will immediately be able to pivot and invite students to sign up for Smart Tag and ideally focus on the 1 mile radius for elementary schools and 2 mile radius for middle and high schools. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Cosgrove. I think that puts you just a point behind Nancy tonight, but it's a close game. I'll give you guys the tie. That does actually bring us to the end of our town hall, our community town hall. So I want to thank those that joined us this evening, that sent us in your questions. Again, we will have that frequently asked questions document updated as soon as we possibly can, and we'll host that on our Road to Return page for our community members. So thank you for sending those questions in. We will get you answers as soon as we possibly can if you did not hear your answer tonight. Mr. Wise, I wanted to give you a few minutes here at the end if you wanted to have some closing remarks for our community.
Yeah. First off, once again, I just want to say thank you. So for a few minutes later, I know we want to jump off so you can get to dinner, but I want you to know, in challenging times, we need to go back to our core values. When we talk about what it means to be Douglas County, we really want to work hard for our students in doing what's best and what's right. And we have in our own mind what that is. And I just want to remind everybody that there's many perspectives and there's not a right or wrong perspective, because each of those are held by each other and we all give input. But decision-making isn't about giving that voice. This isn't a avoiding decision-making process. I need your input. Even when you disagree, I need your input. It's okay. If we don't have all the perspectives, we can't understand where people are coming from. But at the same time, how we go about that is important. We talk about kindness, and I said assuming positive. We all have the similar wants. We all have the similar intentions. Even as we look at the board meeting last night, when decisions are made, it might not be what we are wanting, what we're planning for. It's all working off of a complex piece of where's all the feedback. And it's hard to make these decisions right now. There's not great solutions. Now I'll say this, if we can work to make that synchronous days of the hybrid, where we can deliver instruction and learning no matter what seat we're from and build that out and improve and make that better and more accessible, boy, that could be a great option, because then it gives us more variables of what in-person could mean, and letting people have more options and choice, but still have access. But that's hard. And, we think, yes, we can do it tomorrow. But if it was that easy, everyone would be doing that. There are challenges. It takes time. There's going to be glitches, as I said, with technology. So we just remind ourselves of there's not an easy answer right now. There's not a perfect answer right now, but work together. Douglas County School District has always been one of the best, if not the best, school districts. We choose to live here to raise our families because we want to live in Douglas County. That means we want to be a part of our schools. I know we're hurting. I know we're angry. I know there's emotion out there. I know we're going through our individual struggles, and then it's collective. But I also want you to know, I truly believe we are all closer together. We need to listen to each other. We need to brainstorm solutions. It's easy to tear things down. We all struggle, myself included. There's times where I'm disappointed, hurt, upset. Other times where I'm celebrating, excited, and I want to be that idealist. But it's real this year. And in those challenging times, I do believe we need to go back to those core values and what matters, and how we treat kindness, and how we work with people, and how we work through challenges to find solutions. So I just want you to know, on behalf of myself, on behalf of all the employees, on behalf of the school board, on behalf of being a parents and community member, let's stay together. Let's build this together. Let's find a way to overcome and find those solutions. And we really have always continued to work on finding those solutions. We don't sit idle. Everybody's working really hard, but also uncovering the ideas and then making that and implementing that takes time. So, and even in those times, remember your individual circumstance and experience. What you are doing well and what you're struggling with could be different than your very best friend or closest neighbor. The controls and the individual impact is also different. So just remember all the different perspectives, the total opposites of perspectives, and then everybody falls in between that. So, I just want to I want us to continue to work of having different viewpoints, but how we work through those and express it, and to have understanding, to have empathy, and hopefully to have that positive intent. So I truly appreciate all of you. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the ideas. I also appreciate your concerns. So thank you to Nate, Chris, Stacy, all of the communications, and to the cabinet members and members up top that answer questions. Are also just here to be a resource. I appreciate you guys spending the time, and all of you to invest your time tonight and moving forward. Thank you very much.
Well said. Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.